Hey everyone, good morning. How are you today? I hope you enjoyed the beautiful weather on Monday. It was such a beautiful, wonderful day outside. And I know that the temperature has dropped a little bit for today, but still, it's a beautiful day. I've been thinking a lot about Job as we continue to go through this COVID-19 shelter in place. Job is that book in the Bible that was written as a polemic against the prevailing wisdom of the day. Most people think that Job was a real character, but oftentimes scholars will remind us that Job was probably just a character in a play that was written so that people could critique what was going on in society at the time. And what was happening in society at the time was that they lived with this wisdom that if you did good, you get good. And if you do bad, you get bad. And so it's written to sort of address how that wisdom is not really how God works in this world. You see in the book of Job, the three friends that come forward, and they are really hard on Job about the fact that he must have done something wrong. He must have done something to cause God to hate him so much and cause all of his troubles and his sufferings. And Job laments. A lament is that time when we pour out of us in word and song and tears and moaning and wailing, all of those feelings deep down inside of us that are painful for us, our grief, our being tired, our being despairing, our being overwhelmed. Lamenting helps us to rid ourselves of those things. Oftentimes it helps to just verbalize what is wrong in our lives, and then we can get redirected back into a path of finding that which is good. But Job is so overwhelmed by the fact that he's lost so much, that he's lost his family, he's lost his fortune, he's lost everything in his life. He just sits right down on the ash heap and starts lamenting. And his friends show up and say, well, Job, it must have been you. You must have done something. And Job's like, I didn't do anything. I am the righteous one. I am righteous before God. And God still did bad things to me. You know, I've never really bought into that theology that God does bad things to us. I know that there are a lot of folks in the world who do, but I really don't. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I don't believe any of this that's going around right now, that God has done COVID-19 to us because we're such bad people. Really, it boils down to this. How can someone that loves us do something bad to us? I just don't think that God acts that way. I don't think God, decides from one day to the next, oh, I'm going to hurt that one and I'm going to make that one happy. I just don't think God works that way. I think God works all the time saying, what can I do for you in the moment that you're in right now that can help you and can love you and can get you through this time? I think God is really right now, the energy of God is being poured out into helping us with our laments. We've lost our social network right now of being together in person. We've lost our ability to just go and do as we please right now. Some folks are even fighting that and crying that their rights are being stepped upon. Well, what I really think is that we don't have a right to ever hurt anybody. So perhaps maybe we need to prioritize a little bit better in our lives when we think those thoughts. But Job was kind of the same way. He's like, I've lost everything. Why is this happening to me? What are you doing to me, God? Why are you taking away my rights? I'm the one with the righteousness. Why have you done this to me? And God shows up and says, excuse me, but were you here when I created the mountains and the world and the seas? Were you here when I created the great Leviathan? Were you here when I brought the beauty of this world about? We need to remember that even in the midst of all of the laments that we want to pour out right now, God, why can't we be in church together? God, why do I have to wear these masks? God, why is this happening? God, why can't this just end? We need to remember that before any of this ever happened, there was God. And God was creating all of the good and the beauty of this world around us, and God is still doing that. in the midst of all of the lament that we have right in this very moment, God is creating good. The Apostle Paul writes this in the book of Romans. He says, and not only that, but we also boast in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. The Apostle Paul said, in those days when you want to lament, remember that in the midst of the suffering, God is creating endurance and character and love and hope. When Paul wrote those words to the church in Rome, he was having a bad day. He had every right, like Job, to sit down on the ash heap and lament and cry out about the suffering he was going to. But Paul said, let's turn this around and remember that God has always been and God will always be, and God is still creating that which will bring us good. Hope does not disappoint because we have the Holy Spirit. Let us remember these words. Suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us. Will we sit on the ash heap today and lament and moan and kvetch about that which we've lost? Or will we rise up into the character that is being formed in us that is all about the hope of God in this world, that God has been, is, and always will be the creator of good in our midst? We have but only to look to our own character inside of us to find that. When we rise up in hope, knowing that the power of the Holy Spirit is with us, when we rise up to remember and proclaim God's goodness in this world, we are living as Christ would have us live. So remember, Job was not patient. Job persevered until he had his answer from God. And the answer from God is that God was and is and always will be creating the good in our lives. Let's cling to that today. Let's take off our sackcloth and ashes. Let's stand up and brush ourselves off and remember that the reward comes in believing in the one who created us, redeems us, and sustains us. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope that you've got wonderful things planned in your life for this day. And I hope to see you sooner rather than later. But even if we do get extended, know we are all still deeply connected by the power of the Holy Spirit in God's love. Have a great day. Bye.